very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. In our today's session of automated trading, we are going to add one more indicator, the SMA, and this is part fifth of this ongoing series. And basically, we finished the setup yesterday, for which we started work on the Monday, and today we are going to do some more optimization. So we are going to use the earlier setup as it is, and we are going to add some more conditions to make it more profitable. And I hope you have done some testing on yesterday's setup as well, as we had finished the work. Now these are the indicators which we are using so far, and now this is a new indicator and not so new. This is a simple moving average, and it's so often used that I hope it's not that difficult to understand. It simply calculates the average price over a specified period of time, and we will see what period of time suits our purpose, and we will do it accordingly. Before we get started, this is a standard disclaimer. Here I would like to remind that this session is simply for the tutorial purpose, and no claim is being made regarding the profitability or otherwise of the algorithms which we will be developing during the session. Suppose if you want to use any of it, I would recommend that you do extensive testing for maybe even months and years, and also allow it to run on the demo account for sufficient enough time to get a clear cut idea of the efficacy of the said algorithms. And of course, nothing in the webinar is to be constructed as an advice to trade or for any particular setup. With that, we get started for the day, and here I will give you a brief synopsis of what we are trying to do in today's session. So till yesterday we finished the setup, which involved looking for a buy trade when the maxima and the minima values are rising, and for a sell trade when the maxima and the minima values are falling. Along with that, we also used this ATR variance. We were looking for a situation where the current ATR, the ATR 1 hour back, last hour's ATR value actually is at least 20% less than the ATR 12 hours back, and that was the reason we decided to do, simply because we wanted some consolidation to have happened, and because of that the ATR might have gone down, and we wanted to use it to our advantage. And whenever the momentum picks up, when the MFI goes up, the volume goes up, and depending on the trend and then this ATR condition, and then in addition of that also the price movement of this last hour's candle, we were going to decide for a trade. Now the setup is not that bad, but there is one issue with that. Suppose sometimes if there has been substantial up move or down move. Now here you can see that there has been substantial downward momentum, and after 19 GMT of 14th May onwards, the algorithm can look for the sell trade as the minima is falling and the maxima is falling, and when the ATR will go down, it will start to look for a fresh short selling opportunity. But as you can notice that this price is kind of it has deviated a lot from the average price for last 2 days, and this is SMA 50, and it is roughly 2 days average price, as the 2 days involve 48 hours, and we, for simplicity, we are utilizing the 50 SMA. So it is kind of further away from the 2 days value, and suppose if the underlying instrument goes into a correction phase and consolidation phase, and then there are quite some possibilities that maybe once or twice or even more than that, there might be false resumption of the momentum. Sometimes it will be right, sometimes it will be wrong, but if we provide it a broad price band, then if let us find some example where we can illustrate it better. I think somewhere here we might have gone in such a situation. So let us see if this fits the bill. So sometimes what might happen is that we might have already seen significant deviation in the underlying instrument, and then when the price is in a consolidation phase with some correction, then because of some false signaling, our algorithm might go in for trading, and then it might even hit the stop loss if it goes wrong. But there is nothing wrong if the stop loss get hits once, but if it happens a couple of times consecutively, and then eventually the underlying instrument changes trend, then I think that's not a healthy scenario. So to reduce the price band, what we can do is we simply bring in these 50 SMA in picture. So whenever the algorithm will be trading, it will be trading roughly close to this 2 days average price, and the uh, other conditions of determining the trend remains the same, the ATR conditions remain the same, but only thing we do is we wait for some correction, and the price should be getting closer to these 50 SMA. Then we add one more condition. We say that the trade should happen if the conditions are conducive for a short sell trade. Then the trade should happen only when the last hour's closing value is below this 50 SMA, but the maximum of last 5 hours is greater than the 50 SMA value. That means in last 5 hours the maxima value has touched and gone beyond these 50 SMA, and now the selling pressure is coming back and pushing the price lower, and this way our trading range will be pretty much limited if there is again deviation, and if the price move downward then well and good, and if it goes wrong and the price starts to rise above these 50 SMA, then it will simply stop going for short selling trade. There won't be buying trade just yet, as we need the at least 24 hours before the minima will also start to rise, so that will give us some more time for observing the price momentum. If it stabilizes and remains in the uptrend, then the algorithm will start looking for a buy trade as and when the conditions of maxima rising and the minima rising starts getting fulfilled, and again then we will get this condition that the minima for last 5 hours should be less than these 50 SMA, and the candle closing should be higher, that is above the 50 SMA value. So it will do one thing, that we will be looking at the trading opportunity when there is a reasonably high probability of going right, and if unfortunately if we happen to be wrong, then the algorithm will throw up its hands, and it will not do multiple trades unless this price momentum is still in the price range which we are defining utilizing this 50 SMA. So that is the reason why I decided to add this TSMA to our yesterday's setup. So let's go back on our Visual J Forex platform. So in yesterday's session we finished this setup, which is good enough in itself, and we can even do comparative testing once as it is, and once we are finished with the setup with further optimization, you can then look at the historical data, do the testing, and compare it for yourself which one is more profitable, and whichever is profitable, then you can utilize it. If it is going into loss, then simply we can discard it, or we can add some more changes and then get started with the optimization. This is a standard disclaimer, standard instrument subscription. We are working with the Euro USD, the position amount defined at 0. Then we got this Bill Williams Market Facilitation Index. We got the min-max conditions for hourly data. We got the historical candle to look at how the last hour's price action has been. Then we got the ATR to calculate the ATR variance. Then we got these minimax conditions of 5 hours defined as 30 time period of 10 minutes each, that is the data for 300 minutes is equals to 5 hours. Then we did lot of calculations here, and today we won't need to tinker with much of the calculation. The only thing we might need to do is add some fresh blocks of the SMAs and define the values which we need, and that should be good enough. So once we get started, we will realize what we need to do and what is good enough. So let us bring the SMA blocks. This is the Friday, and once we are done with the optimization setup, we can even sign up for the day, and later on I will be back for the market mover session. But manually we don't need to be looking at the market levels all the time when most of our job is being done by the algorithms which we develop. Now let us find where is SMA. SMA is here. We will need only one value of SMA should be good enough. So we don't do much changes. We make it like 1 hour. We change the time period here of 1 hour each hourly. Shift you can take current value or even the value 1 hour back. Let us make it for stabilization purpose the value of last hour's candle closed. Then we do the time read at 50. So the output is, now we join the flow starting here, and so this is the SMS setup. Now we need to do is see what we need to on the chart. For the buy trade, let us look for some buy trade examples. So somewhere here the time is 7 GMT of 13th May. 7 GMT is this. So no, then the buy condition might not have been fulfilled. We need to look for the trading opportunity where our algorithm might have gone for a buy trade. So let us look for buy trade somewhere here. This time is 9 GMT, 29th April, 9 GMT. No buy trade will happen. This is 14 GMT. 14 GMT is again no buy trade as the last candle has closed in red. We need the candle to have closed in green. 23 GMT. The candle has closed in green, but then as I said, we need the last 5 hours minima to have been less than the SMA of last 1 hour. So no trading will happen here as well. Again we go forward in time and we see this 4 GMT. 4 GMT is again the candle has closed red, so no trading will happen. And then we move to 13 GMT. 13 GMT is this, so no trade will happen. Now this is 14 GMT and the trade will happen, but what we I don't think it will get executed, as we will be looking at the value for which the order would be placed at just a little above these 1.083, and that will be half of the ATR. So here the ATR condition is at these are 13 GMT, the ATR is of 18.5 pips, so the order will be placed by adding 9 pips to this. So the order will come around 1.0841, and that price is never reached in next 2 hours. So no trading will happen, but here the condition is there. These conditions are going to be fulfilled and the order will be placed. Of course, it's a different thing that no trade will be executed, but I hope you got the point. So from all these uh, for all this time, this consolidation has been going on, and the price has remained in pretty little range. But no multiple false executions will happen. Only when things look promising, the trading will happen. But that might get executed or might not. But still, it looks good to me. The setup which we are working on, and even if we go back in time here, 22 GMT, the 22 GMT is this, and here the candle closing is less than the SMA. So again, no trade will happen here as well. So that's how we are going to work with our setup. So now here also the conditions are fulfilled. The maxima is rising, minima is also rising. The candle has closed in green, but the order would be placed just half of hourly ATR, and that is not going to get executed. So this is the basic idea. And now we head back to the Visual J Forex platform to do the comparative analysis, and bring in the if conditions. So we look at the info and the logical part. We take the if blocks, and for if block we are going to need the minima to be compared. Minimum of 5 hours on the bid side of low price needs to be less than the 50 SMA. So we go and find this is of ask side, and high price we need of bid side, and low price. This is the low price, but shift is 30. This is the current price. Okay. So this minima 25 needs to be less than the SMA 50, and then hourly closing needs to be above the SMA 50. So the minima should be less. And let me bring another block. So here we do this connection straight away. Minima needs to be less than the than the SMA 50. And then we look at the historical candles data, closing price actually, and that is candle 35. Candle 35 closing level should be greater than the 50 SMA. So we take these auto created variables and we go to candle 35, and the candle 35 closing value needs to be greater than the SMA 50. So here it is greater than SMA 50. So these are the two conditions which will do the job for us. We already have the requirement of many other conditions defined on the setup. So we take these two blocks and add it to the buy side, then we come back, define the sell side requirements. So this optimization which we are doing is not that difficult to understand. It's fairly simple, and it is effective from the perspective of keeping the drawdown low. If unfortunately sometimes there is only little price momentum and it goes into extended consolidation with multiple false positive, so at such instances we won't need to suffer too much loss. So here are we keep the rest of the conditions as it is. So the candle 50's closing should be greater than the candle 35's closing. Then we connect here and we get the pending open order there. So the candle closing should be greater than the SMA 50. So this is our new buy side setup. Now remains the sell side changes. So here we do the sell side changes as well. Again, only 2 blocks needed. All of our setups are symmetrical, so no exception in today's setup as well. Now we need the minima. No minima. We need the maxima of last 5 hours. Ask side, high price. So we do the search and it should be this one. Should 0 means current value, ask and the high price. Okay, we got it right. We take the maxima which needs to be greater than the 50 SMA, which is line 76, and SMA 50 we got it. And then we got the candle 35 and its closing price needs to be looked into. Candle 35 should close below the 50 SMA. That is our requirement for the trading to happen. And we here take, and this is 50 SMA. So we need the maxima to be greater than the SMA and then the closing to be less than the SMA. So we do this and add it to the our setup on the sell side. So here we have the first input less than the second input, that is candle 50's closing needs to be less than the candle 35's closing. So we keep the requirement as it is and we join the flow here. So we have taken this candle 35's closing and the closing level needs to be less than the SMA 50. So far, so good. The close was less than the candle open 35. Candle 35 has closed with losses. So now we save it and we briefly test it to see if the trading will happen as we are intending it to do. So today we look for trading which might have fit our requirement and then the trade should happen. The such instance I think we will find it somewhere here. This is 1 GMT of 22nd March, 1 GMT. Yes, it looks good to me. The minima is falling, the maxima is falling, and the candle is also closing in red. So let's see, we will be able to test our assumptions here. We will need to test for 22nd of April. Okay, so here we go back to the platform, we save the file and we export the file in Java. And this tick. So these are our algorithms for which we have worked in the month of May. So we save in the May folder. Yes, we will need to replace yesterday's May 11th version. Okay, so here is old May 11th version, we remove it. Okay, and now we bring in the new version. And new version is here. Yes, created by, the date is 15th of May. So this is new version. We need to compile it. So we do the compilation. Let us see, compilation successful, means our algorithm is machine readable. Now we will test it on the custom date, custom time frame, account good enough, instrument is right, we do 22nd of April, so we do okay. So let us see how it would respond to our design setup. Run. So far, no trade has been executed, so we don't really get to see any trade in this setup. So we will need to test it on a larger time frame to see how it is going to trade. We complete the testing till 24th of April, and then we will be signing off for the day. And this is Friday, so time to take the things easy, and of course, if the weather permits, breezy as well. So guys, let us stop the testing. We didn't really bring any results for us, unfortunately, and now we will need to test it for a lot more time. But since we have constraints of time, we won't be testing it here, but I would recommend you do the same, so you will get a fair idea of the things which will be good enough for the algorithm to trade. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. See you on Monday. Have an excellent weekend ahead. Goodbye.